everyone's stakes are ending in the future, you can choose to have your stake end on a day where someone else's isn't, which reduces the volatility, which gives you a better Sharpe ratio, which is better for everyone. So there's less pollution, better marketing.
Everyone except the person staking, because they have less chance, or they have less options as to when they want to in their staking. So because nobody knows the future. The future is uncertain. Maybe today it seems like, staking for the next 5 years is a good idea, but then tomorrow I get diagnosed with cancer. Yep. And I need the money for medical treatment.
There is an emergency end stake feature, and in the future it's likely you'll be able to trade the staked things by wrapping them with another contract or an open dime. And so your theory sounds right. However, your theory doesn't match the real world. In the real world, I know this business works because it's more than there is printed currency. In the United States and China, there's $7.2 trillion in time-locked CDs. Fact. I can send
people
you the
can trade those. Yeah.
No, you can't.
You're right.
You can't trade those. They're CDs. They're not tradable.
Yeah, but no, people can trade CDs, of course.
No, when you go to your bank and you buy a CD, you ain't trading it. Ain't nowhere. It's not tradable. Bonds, treasuries, maybe. Bank CDs, not. If you go to SunTrust Bank, if that even still exists, and you say, hey, give me a savings account, they'll go, all right, we'll give you like 0.02%. All right, I want more percent. What can I do? Oh, we lock your money up. Okay, well, how much extra do I get if I lock it a year? I think if you lock 5 years, you get 2.49% or 2.25. I think like 2 years is 2.25, and then every extra year you add, they give you 20% more interest. And it starts to trail off towards the end, like they give you less interest. So in the real world, we already know that there's a time value of money, and we already know there's 7.2 trillion in time deposits, and we already know the only thing that makes a time deposit unique is that it pays you more if you lock longer. We just copied all that shit and put it on the blockchain, and no one else did it. It's the second most popular product at the bank. If you want to replace banks, you've got to replace all their products. Bitcoin tried to do currency and failed.
So I'm not sure. I guess one additional difference here, though, with the CD at the bank, they're not just holding the money, they're then lending it out at a higher interest rate and earning money on it.
It's a very common misconception. It's not actually what happens. Everyone thinks that's what happens. What really happens is when you deposit your money at a bank, they put it on the liability side of their balance sheet. It's not an asset, it's a liability. And then they use that as an excuse, as a reserve, to get the actual money that they lend out, that they get super cheap from the Fed. So when you give your money to a bank, it doesn't actually get lent out. The money that gets lent out is the Fed's money that they give them because they had your money. Now in Hex,
that's true.
Yep. In Hex, we have.
But it's your deposit that helps them enable to borrow more money from the Fed at the super low interest rate.
Yeah, so. And the Fed could just decide that they need less reserve or more reserve. It's really up to the Fed. It doesn't have anything to do with your balance. Your coins aren't actually. Your coins are as useful as it makes the Fed. To some extent,
it does, because the more deposits they have, the more they can borrow from the Fed.
So. Yeah, in effect. But the Fed can change that whenever they want. They can make it more, they make it less, and they do. So, and that's why they have stress tests. They have stress tests because sometimes the reserves aren't high enough, and then they have to eat into people's actual savings. And when they do that, you max out your FDIC insurance, which I think maxes out at $300K, and then you're just fucked. You lose your money. So people don't realize that, yes, banks do fail, and you can look up how many banks fail a year, and it's a number that's published. You can look up how much people got fucked for. In crypto, so what does Hex do? Hex replaces a product that's the second most popular product at the bank that no one else is addressing. It's the first cryptocurrency in the world with a chart of future market supply, which should reduce volatility and is a feature that should increase price appreciation. It uses the same scammy-looking tactics that are wildly effective for the Ponzi schemes and the scammers, and it reduces their ability to scam by taking away mindshare and money. So, BitConnect? You heard of BitConnect?
Sure.
BitConnect stole billions of dollars from people. Two of their top two promoters were Craig Grant and Trayvon James. They both promote Hex now. Why? Not because I reached out to them, because they realize that this design is powerful. There's a reason we're the second most popular on Ethereum. There's a reason over $1 billion of Bitcoin has free claimed their Hex so far. We give these coins away for free. This is with $0 spent on marketing. I've never paid for an ad ever in my entire life for Hex. Not one. Imagine if someone did. The referrals are doing it. We were on the front page of the Pirate Bay for 3 days. We were on Bitcoin Wisdom and some banner ads. I'm not doing it. The referrers are doing it because the system is designed that well. And it's going viral and it's addictive. Every day there's a new bucket that rotates. and people, every day, there's about 500 million hex that are given out. And if you put in 10% of that day's Ethereum, you get 10% of that bucket. If you put in 50% of day's Ethereum, you get 50% of that bucket. And the bucket's empty out. It's fun, it's engaging, it's addictive, and as more speculative stickiness, there's more things to watch. And because cryptocurrencies primarily are just used as speculative instruments, all Bitcoin is right now is a utility token for margin trading and 5% on the darknet and just speculation. That's about it. So do you want more?
Yep. So I think a lot of people, I think we've both seen it on social media. There's a lot of people that are calling Hex a scam.
Sure. Because it looks like a
really
scam.
Mad about it.
Yeah, it does look like a scam. You have to dig in. You know what else looks like a scam? Bitcoin. This shit goes down 85% every 3 years. Fucking Dogecoin only went down a few percent more. So what's a better store of value, Dogecoin or Bitcoin? Well, it's about this much different. As a matter of fact, I just read an article that CryptoKitties was a better store of value recently than fucking Bitcoin. So
I know Tone Vase has called Bitcoin Cash a scam a bunch of times.
Everything.
I assume
he doesn't know any other words.
He calls a glass of water a scam.
Yeah.
I assume maybe you've called Bitcoin Cash a scam. Have you changed your opinion on that, or maybe you never did? Or
my opinion is that you guys should have taken my advice when you were choosing your name, and you would have had a more successful project, because I'm actually good at this shit. So, for instance, on this call that we've been on, having to say the word Bitcoin Cash that many times, it's actually clunky. Because when a person first hears it, they think you're just talking about Bitcoin for a quarter, like a millisecond there, and then you attach the cash at the end, and then they're like, oh, that thing. So you never want to use a compound word for your brand. Bitcoin is actually not a good brand name. If you study branding and you study logos and you study logo types and messaging, Google doesn't mean anything. It's a large number with a bunch of zeros. I think it's 100 zeros. It's one with 100 zeros. They now changed their name to Alphabet. eBay. What's an eBay? Oh, it's tied to the Bay Area in San Francisco. Nobody knows that, right? Amazon. Do they sell tours in the Amazon, in the rainforest? No, right? The most successful companies and the most successful brands in this world, and the brands in this world, have names that aren't actually related to what they do. So if you want to actually have a successful brand, you actually need a short, pronounceable name that differentiates you, that once people know it, they can't forget it, they can't mix it up, and it's shorter. So like when I talk about Hex, it rolls off the tongue, you can't misspell it, it doesn't confuse you with anything else. Your Bitcoin Cash would have been more successful and more profitable if you had called it Bcash. It would have. Now, I think that you guys believed that you could win the war against Bitcoin, and you wanted to keep the name, and maybe since you're an OG and you've been in Bitcoin so long, you wanted to still promote something with the name. But Bitcoin Cash isn't a very good brand name, and Bitcoin isn't a very good brand name, and you need only look at the most valuable companies in the world. Apple, they sell computers, not fruit. And everyone that had a normal name, they changed it to be weird, to be more profitable. Like Alphabet, what does Alphabet have to do with search engines, right? So I'm telling you the reality of branding. Like you guys would. I
don't think I particularly disagree with any of that. What I want to address before we get up, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and at some point I want to grab some breakfast here.
I think we should do this as long as you can take it, truthfully. But
I see a lot of hate to use the word like Bitcoin Cash maximalists. Fear Bitcoin.com listed Hex. And I'm agnostic on Hex at this point. I got some free because I still had some Bitcoin. Maybe I'll sell it, hold it. Maybe I'll wait and see what happens. Maybe I'll do a combination of all those things. But I think giving people more options is a good thing. So if you don't like Hex, don't buy it, right? If you don't like Hex and you got some, sell it, right? If you like Hex, go and buy it. But make up your own mind.
The funny part to me is good.
That was it.
So the funny part to me is that Hex actually achieves in the real world the exact opposite of everything everyone is claiming. So because Trayvon James and Craig Grant are promoting Hex, an audited, openly viewable source, verifiable smart contract where you mint your own coins with no counterparty. You are your own counterparty. It makes crypto more secure. It's given out for free to Bitcoin holders, just like how I got into Bitcoin. It removes mind share from all the scams that use effective tactics to make crypto look like shit and steal everyone's money. Hex is doing these things in the real world. It's getting people to take possession of their own keys. The proof of keys movement doesn't pay you to take possession of your keys. Hex pays you to take possession of your keys. I would be willing to say that Hex has done more to get people to learn how to use their wallets right, to learn how to be able to sign signatures, to make sure that they've got their private keys to be able to sign from, to get them to get their keys off of these other exchanges. Remember, 42% of Bitcoin's held in less than 2,000 addresses, and most people have more than one address. So maybe there's 1,500 entities, maybe there's 1,000 entities that actually hold 42% of all Bitcoin. Hex is solving that shit. We're reducing the marketing for scams by taking away the referrers and taking away their mindshare. We have a more secure contract than Bitcoin. We are audited. Bitcoin is not. I would be surprised if Bitcoin Cash was audited. I would state that.
Actually, we've done a bunch of auditing, and I've been the one paying for a lot of it. So.
Okay. Well, if you publish them, I'll read them because I'm into that.
I'll send you a link after this. So we just paid for an audit with Trail Bits for the Cash Shuffle protocol.
Excellent.
For the privacy on top of Bitcoin as well. So.
Good choice. Our auditors tied for best with them. I think the two best auditors in the world would be Chain Security and Trail Bits. And they're expensive. They're $400 an hour, and they bill you by the engineer week. So it's 16.
They billed me too much, and they charged me more than they charged you if it was $400. So,
hey man, the prices change, right? So my point to you is, how many actual innovative products are there in the blockchain space? More throughput, we got that shit already. Everybody's got that. Okay, anonymity, Monero does it well already. We got a lot of Zcash Stark stuff coming up. Lightning has it if it works out, right? For the onion wrap.